boy, mateys. Alright. Now, we're going to talk about today on Dave's Garage. I'm not going to spend much time in the garage. I just need to navigate getting out of it without falling. The other day I said, hey, we're going to go up to the mountains and do a full proper rip up of the mountain with the Quickshifter. Well, luckily, yesterday, I went and scouted things out in the car. Me and my dad went up in the Mustang to play. And the mountains were horrible. Just all kinds of idiot out-of-towners still on Christmas and New Year's vacation. Gravel, salt, the roads were shit. In the car, not too bad. But I'm not going to go up there and go flying around on the bike with all that kind of gravel, salt, silt, all that just shit on the road. We need a good thunderstorm or two to wash that crap away, and then I'll be able to get up there and do it proper. So we're going to go try to hit some back roads where there's less traffic and see what we can find. Someone dumping transmission fluid all over the road. So we've upped we've numbed the sensitivity as per last time. I went and made the threshold 90%. So you got to definitely. I mean, it's still light. I'm looking for ways to reduce the sensitivity. You ever have that problem where it's too sensitive and so it goes off premature? If any of you have ever dealt with that, you know, it's okay. It's happened to all of us. Go ahead and admit it. But help a brother out. Tell me what you did to fix it. And I'm talking about the shifter. We're not talking about, there's something about Merriwear. You're going out with a loaded gun. You gotta choke the chicken once or twice before you go on a date. You're walking around with a loaded gun. Now we're gonna go ahead of these clowns. It is working very nice. I would, however, like to make it just a little less sensitive. So the way I've got it installed is the way the instructions had it, which was you got the round part with the slit, and it's got the grooves that slide over the spline shaft, and it's like a pinch bolt, and you put the bolt through and it tightens that down a little bit so it grips it. Well, you take out the bolt, you mount the whatever it is, pressure switch, and it goes through the switch, through a washer, through the switch, through another washer, into the clamp for the linkage, and then you tighten it down. Now, I guess on an earlier revision there was like these cone-shaped washers. These were just flat washers, so I don't know that removing them will do any good. But people said, you know, if it was a little too touchy, you could remove those and it made it less sensitive. So if you know of any way with the new Healtech latest revision on a Speed Twin, if you've got a Thruxton, as long as it's the Healtech, it should work the same. There's another shifter kit that you can get for the Thruxtons that plugs into the factory wiring harness, but it's more expensive. So I have a feeling a lot of guys go that route. But in case you decided to go with the Healtech, let me know how you got it dialed in. I see people that are like, oh, I've just got it in automatic or adaptive mode. I didn't see an adaptive mode on mine. I just did the little wizard and it said, well, here's this settings we suggest, and you know, that was sort of it. So I didn't see anything adaptive in at least this version of the software, the latest version that I have. If you know where that setting is, put it in the comments. Let me know. Because maybe that would work, because it would notice over time that I'm kind of banging through the gears instead of just lightly touching them. In which case it would go, oh, okay, we need to make a, that's how he shifts. Because it does that to some extent when you do the wizard. It said shift how you normally shift. But when you're just sitting in the garage kind of going through the gears, it's a little different than when you're trying to go fast and you're amped up on a mountain road or on the track. you tend to be more aggressive on the road. So the setting, the pressure that it felt me exerting might go, oh, okay, well we need to adjust the sensitivity to accommodate that. I don't know. I didn't see anything about it saying, okay, we'll adjust it over time. It just made recommendations and set it for those. This guy's going to take off. It's like... know of any of those settings. I mean, so far, it's just, and moving the lever down more so that I'm getting very positive engagement. I don't know why it wasn't a problem when I was doing with the clutch, unless, like I said, when I installed the switch, maybe it was loose and I skipped a tooth and it, you know, raised the thing up. But we were talking the other day about, you know, your foot can bend all the way this way because you get up on your tiptoes, but you can't fold your foot all the way up to where it, you know, your toes are almost touching your shins. It doesn't work that way. Your foot can bend a lot that way and only a little bit this way. And then you throw on restrictive boots that are made to support and limit your ankle movement, so that if you hit the ground, you know, it's more than your ankle taking the hit. And that really limits your movement. So and that's why another reason why some people do like reverse shift. It's like, yeah, it's good for when you leaned over in a turn and, you know, all that stuff. But also, your foot's better at pushing down than your foot is at lifting things up. Just like your hand is naturally faster and stronger gripping and pulling inward than it is flicking outward. You can flick outward, but not with the same dexterity, pressure, speed, you know, force, all that stuff, as pulling in. You know, your hands are designed by evolution for some tasks, and it's better at some tasks than others. And your feet are that way kind of as well. So moving that lever down means my foot is more extended. If your foot is in a natural kind of, your foot's perpendicular. All right, we're going to go back to geometry class here, folks. So, you know, there's parallel, meaning they'll never intersect. They're 180, you know, they're 180 degrees. And then perpendicular means 90 degree or a right angle. So think of a cross. Those are all perpendicular. All 90 degree angles, 4 of them adds up to 360 degrees. So there's your geometry lesson for today. Feels good, man. I haven't had a missed shift. So anyway, the geometry lesson was there for a reason, not to be a dick and tell you math. It was, you want to have, if your foot's already, you can only race your foot so much past perpendicular. You can raise it a little bit. Maybe some people are a little more limber than others, but it will never be as much, especially in a boot. That's the key, in a boot. A proper motorcycle, like a sport boot. So if you're already kind of like at this sort of angle and it's perpendicular to your leg, you're only going to be able to lift your foot a little bit without really kind of cranking it and forcing your foot against the boot. If your foot's down and you want to raise it up to perpendicular, well, that's easy. You got more range of movement. So I moved the lever down a little bit, actually a good bit, about half an inch, so that my foot's a little bit more pitched forward, so I get a really good range of movement to snap up into the next gear. And I haven't had a missed shift yet with the quick shifter, now that I've done that. Feeling good. Threshold 90, delay 15 millisecond, cut time 80. It is sunny and 60. It was snowing on Monday. Georgia weather's, well, the whole country got slammed this time, and some way worse than us. I mean, shit, there were dozens of people that died in Buffalo. Alright, so we're going to go down this twisty road, we're going to pass FedEx, then we're going to go up to the other side of Brazelton and hit some back sweepy roads where I can kind of slow down and then get on it. down on it. Reminds me, I gotta put another microphone, little windsock on this microphone. Hopefully get rid of a little more road noise. Yeah, it's working. I mean, it's working really well. So my video last time got cut off because I had to leave the house and go out and do 3 freaking videos, and 2 of them were long and kind of killed the battery. So then I got the 3rd one where I think I got the settings right, but I got it almost right. And then I had to come back to the house, and I realized when I got home that the battery had died partway through the ride. So I came home, made another adjustment based on what I had felt, and this is the first ride with these new settings. So I may leave it here. I mean, this is feeling pretty goddamn good. And I am using it as auto blip. I just went from 6th to 5th. Let's go down to 4th. If I blip the throttle, I can do it. Oh, you clown. Oh no, the road turns. Alright. Get out the way. Well, I'm wearing really thin jeans. I'm not really much in the way of protection other than gloves, jacket, spine protector. Not even having to use my wonderful heated grips right now. Twisty road, but it's getting bumpy. It's not in great condition anymore. I don't know if the trucks are tearing it up or what. Alright, so we're going to get down to the end of this road. We're going to make a left and go up the hill. Hopefully we're not stuck behind some clown. I'll be able to start in 1st gear and just go wah, 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 wah through the gears. What is this? Something fire protection in front of us. That's a company my dad used to run. He ran a couple of fire alarm security companies. Nurse calls, fire suppression, all that kind of stuff. I don't know if it was that one though, although the logo looks similar, but I may be just thinking of the Ruger symbol. Looks kind of like that. Alright, everybody. We're going to fly up that hill wide open on the Quickshifter. Alright, we're actually in sport mode this time. Last time I was out riding around, I'm like, feels great, and I look down, I'm in road mode, which isn't even full power mode. I forget how fun this bike is. A nice way to cut the corner, jack off. Alright. I'm not going to hammer it first because it's just going to wheelie. Yeah. I mean, we're accelerating uphill, so it's going to cut into our acceleration, but you hear the cut times? I mean, it's perfect. Not quite as good as the Aprilia, the Ducati, or the R1, or the Street Triple R. I mean, it's not as good as most of those because those were all factory that were tuned and set up. You know, the cut times, the thresholds, all that stuff were set up for that bike, right? This is a generic Quickshifter module that you then connect the switch or linkage depending on what kind of bike you have. Now, so that is never going to be probably as good as the one that comes to the factory. Now, the ones that come to the factory typically can't be adjusted. Maybe some Woolwich or somebody can get in there and do something with, but most of the time they can't. I've heard that on the factory Quickshifters, on the Triumphs, the Tune ECU can adjust the cut time. I've not seen that. I did when I had the Street Triple RS, the 2020 that had the Quickshift and Auto Blip. It was not in Tune ECU at that time, but that was 2 years ago. So maybe they've added that since then. But so far, I've not had any weird misshifts. I am adjusting my riding a little bit. So when you have a quick shifter, especially one that is sensitive, not sensitive like emo, but sensitive in that, you know, sometimes your foot tends to ride on the pedal, you ride with your foot under the shifter and your toes bumping it. Now you're not moving it ever enough to accidentally bang it into another gear, but here, because it is sensitive, if it feels any movement on the lever, it goes, oh, you must want to shift, and it'll cut. But listen, see that temporary, actually I accidentally shifted there. If I just touch it, listen to the motor for that second, and I did end up shifting it. Man, it does shift easy. I'm barely touching that lever. Go again into 6. Yeah, I mean, I'm not hard on the gas. That was just an easy, and if I want to downshift, I just don't know if it's as good without it auto blipping, because it's hard to get it to not feel lurchy. I'd have to sit there and practice at it, which I'm not averse to doing, but I feel like on the bike like this, and being that the Cowie doesn't have auto blip because it doesn't even have ride-by-wire, I'll probably get one for that, and at least that way both bikes are consistent. That's one of the things, trying to keep your muscle memory. I can have one bike do it one way and one bike do it another. I have had go. Freaking Florida, man. What was I gonna say? Yeah, you know, having bikes with different shift patterns. I have had, like, one was GP shift and one was regular, and I can go back and forth between the two. But invariably, at some point in the ride, you'll go into autopilot mode, and you'll go what you think is up, and you forget you're on the other bike, and you're already near the rev limiter, and you go to shift, and you bang it down a gear, and that's bad, because the rev limiter will protect it from giving it too much gas and having it just accelerate past a certain point. But if you're in 4th and you're at redline and you bang it down in 3rd real quick, that can be bad for your valves and your valve train and stuff like that, because you will over rev the motor. The rev limiter won't be able to stop that because it's going to be mechanical over rev. Yeah, it shifts well. Notice I didn't say shifts good. Proper grammar is it shifts well. Oh, this was a passing zone. Maybe not. It is here, but I don't know what that guy up ahead's doing, because he's slowing down but not using his effing turn signals, because why would you? And give him the wave. Very nice smooth acceleration, seamless. I'm waving to him, not having to use the clutch, not even rolling off the gas. This thing's working as advertised. I think the new settings. Now, I did change the tension. I noticed that the linkage that has the circle with the splines that line up with the splines on the shaft, and then the pinch, you know, it's basically like a pinch bolt that closes it, so it grips that shaft, giggity. I noticed if I pushed on it a little hard, like kind of hard, it would slide on the shaft. Again, giggity. So it wasn't quite tight enough, and that could have been affecting how if there was a little bit of play in there, how that switch was reacting to me putting pressure on the lever. So I did snug it up as per the instructions. I didn't have a torque wrench to go down to that small. So it said if you don't have a torque wrench, just tighten it up so that it doesn't move. Okay. I did that, and so far, no problems. This thing feels great. I'm trying to look up more. I noticed on my videos, I thought my camera angle changed, but I noticed it was like I was looking down too much, and you were like seeing everything like right there, not up there. So I'm trying to make a concerted effort to look ahead and not down at the gauges all the time. Yeah, just flying along 80-90 on a back road. It's beautiful. Yeah, these roads are clear. I really wanted to go up to the mountains like rain and thunderstorms. The roads up there need it. I didn't even run the camera yesterday. It was so annoying. I think I was annoying my dad. Because he's like, hey, I'm just hanging out, you know, enjoying talking to you and shooting the shit. I'm like, yeah, but I bought a sports car. I want to go fast. I'm stuck behind someone doing 10 under. And there were people from Florida stopping in the middle of the road and the mountains just to take a picture of the cliff. Or I'm like, dude, you're around a blind turn and you're stopping to take photos in the road. So my dad was like being all chill, and I was being grumpy old man, telling everyone to get the F out of my way. But the other side was there was just salt everywhere, and then people from out of town, they're just like, I don't know what to do. The road turned. There's a little gravel. Which in a car, not a big deal. On a bike, yeah, it could put you on your head if you're not careful. Plus, I just didn't want to get salt all over the bike. So I was really bummed. I was like, all right, I'm going to go up there and I'm going to blast around Thursday and have some fun. It's gorgeous out. And then it was like, want. But at least I didn't get all the way up there to go, oh, this sucks. So. We'll go ride Sunday. Either up in the mountains, if it gets a good enough rain and washes a lot of that salt away, that'll be good. If not, because I think it's supposed to be like 64 or something, although it is like 60 today, it's actually warmer than they said it was going to be. I'm not using heated grips. I am wearing my winter jacket, but I don't even have Under Armour on underneath my shirt, my jacket, or my jeans. I'm just wearing regular old jeans, and it's cool, but I'm comfortable. Alright, I want to get on a road. We could do another couple quick runs. What I'll have is I'll have this ride review now that I've got the settings dialed in. And what I'll do is probably take a couple of the little straightaways where I just kind of get on it so you can hear the you can hear it and see without me talking. I'll do a short well, I guess YouTube shorts. Do a quick burr, 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 burr. You can see how quick it shifts. Yeah, this is like what it was like yesterday. Stuck behind delivery trucks, little old ladies in minivans, and a bunch of people from Florida that just had no idea. It's like they'd never seen a mountain before. They'd never seen a turn before. I was like, man, you gotta pick up the pace. My dad's like, it's okay, we ain't no hurry. And I pointed out at one point, I'm like, yeah, but the Prius behind us is getting annoyed. Very nice. Are they gonna go? I'm going. Like, why are you doing 40 in a 55? What I gotta do is get this up to Ron, buddy up in, I guess he lives in Blairsville, man. He's a cool dude. He's such a chill, just a nice guy. Like, he never raises his voice. I don't think I've even heard him curse in all the times. I'm swearing like a sailor. I think I heard Tom curse a couple times, drop a couple F-bombs. But Tom's a cool guy too, but he's a little more, I guess, outspoken, seems like it. Ron is just a really chill, subdued guy, and both of them can freaking ride, man. And I hope I've never offended them by saying older guys. I'm just trying to be descriptive, not judgmental. But you know, when you look at someone who's in their 70s, you're like, oh, okay, well, you know, they're gonna ride like this. And neither of them ride like what you think whatever you have in your head. You think, well, even if someone was fast when they're young, by the time you hit 70, you're slowing down and this and that. Apparently nobody told them that. I don't think Tom's not that old. But Ron's in his 70s, and he flies up there. Like, he's got a good setup on his bike. He knows how to ride. And but he will not make it easy. You're gonna have to pull, push and play a little bit, especially if I know the road. I can hang with him, not, without a lot of trouble at all. When we get onto the roads that he knows that I don't, I have to get out of my comfort zone a little bit because I don't know the road, I don't have the confidence, and if I don't push past that, he's just gone. Anyway, he's been thinking about getting one of these. So now that he rode it with the Olins, and now that we got the final tune, and the K-Tech shocks, and the steering damper, and the heated grips, and now that we've got the Quickshifter, because I think a Z900's got one of those, and a Triumph's got one too. Got a Tiger, which is a surprisingly fun bike to ride. I was like, it's an adventure bike. I'll ride it just for something different when he was riding this. But I was running through the twisties, not normal pace, but it's not my bike, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm not going to really push it on an adventure bike that's not mine. But I was surprised at how good it was. So I need to get this up to him. Now that this is all done, I don't think there's any more mods. I don't have anything else planned for this. Part of me wants to throw it on Kent's dyno one last time, because we came back with the 103.8 or whatever horsepower, but when I got on the bike in the parking lot, I noticed it was in road mode again. Kent does this every time. He always forgets how to turn off the traction, so he starts hitting the mode button. And my concern is we did that dyno run when it was only opening the throttle plates 90%, not 100. So there may be another 1.5 horsepower. We might break the 105 horsepower mark. But I have to get it 2 hours each way, back up to Kent's dyno, and then make sure it's in sport mode. I was so annoyed when I left, and I'm like, it's on road, and then I'm like, fudge. We might have run it in the wrong mode. And we know from the prior run, even though the runs were off because it was too rich, I did see a difference in top end power. It held the power a little longer and climbed a little bit more. So I don't know if it'll make more peak power, but it might just hold onto that power just a wee bit longer instead of shutting down the throttle plates to 90%, keeping them 100% till red line is what sport mode does. Road mode only goes to 90%. And just for a YouTube short. So we're going to slow down, get down to like, I don't know, 25 miles an hour. Let a little gap build up. So you're ready. Here's your YouTube short. Beautiful. Very nice. This thing's a success. I've not had a single mischief or weird issue. It's done everything I was hoping that it would do. I wouldn't mind if it's a little less sensitive, and I may change the threshold from 90 up to 100 just to see if that makes a difference. It takes 5 seconds for my phone. It'll take longer for me to pull over and get the phone out of my pocket than it does to make the change. Feel that little wobble there? I took my hand off the bar and it was starting to lift the front a little in second and even a little bit there in third. The front was kind of hovering and hitting all those things. Didn't get any kind of a weird wobble. Steering damper did its job right there. I probably shouldn't have been 100% throttle in second gear where it does lift, it does power wheelie on its own while trying to point to the other guy. I'm not saying without that it would have gotten into a tank slapper, but there would have been a lot more drama as opposed to, well, okay, it's doing this, and I just kind of wrote it out, whatever. So, all right, I think I've done enough of a review of this. Hopefully Sunday. We're either going down to Covington, we'll blast around some back roads, I know some twisty roads on the way we'll hit, or we're going to be up in the mountains if I feel like the roads are clear enough, and we'll do some aggressive ride. But so far, man, what's not to like? This thing's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Williams-Sonoma. You want to go in and buy a $300 soup ladle? They have nice stuff, but god damn is it overpriced. There used to be a CDW, I think, right here. There was that catalog place for computers and stuff like that. I bought a $200 12-inch, I think it was a 400 watt or something powered subwoofer. I don't even remember the brand. It was like $200 bucks. All the pictures in the whole first floor of my house are all crooked, no matter how many times Donna changes them or, recorrects them, because it literally shakes the whole goddamn house. It's the best subwoofer I ever bought for $200 bucks. Bought it 8 years ago when we built that house. It's still running strong. I went and got it there from CDW. Let's see. We've got to be coming down into Brazelton. I think this is Route 124. I'm too busy talking, not reading signs. Anyway, that's your edition of Dave's Garage. I got another video that's I gotta have to crunch and put together. Ooh, there's a big ass pothole. The computer I built. I know a couple of people had said, "Oh, why didn't you get this? Why didn't you get that?" Because I didn't want to spend $4,000 on a computer or $5,000 on a computer. I wanted to spend $3,000. That was my budget for a gaming rig. And to be honest, that i5, it's a 13th gen. That new i5, it's a 14-core processor. It's the 13600K. I'm telling you, man, look at the benchmarks. There's a couple where the extra cores on the other, the i9 is a little bit better. But in games and a lot of the benchmarks that are CPU intensive, you're like 90% of the top of the line Mac Daddy i9 processor, the new Alder Lake chip, at little less than half the price. And say with the video card, I got a 4090. I'm not spending $1,700 on a video card. That's going to be obsolete in 6 months when the new one comes out. I'm just not. I set a budget of less than $1,000. I bought the best video card I could buy for less than $1,000. It's roughly on par with the 4080 RTX, but it's $400 cheaper than that. I spent $900 and got the AMD, the new RX 7900 XT, 20 gigs of DDR6. It's great. It's a great video card. It's perfect for what I'm using it for. Anyway, I built the damn system, got all my lighting, all that other kind of stuff set up, and that Cooler Master Hyper 212 Black Edition, whatever, was not enough to cool that chip. So there's the downside of that chip. It's fast as fuck. It's multiplier unlocked, so if you want to overclock the bejesus out of it, this is the overclocker gamer's chip to get. Every review site says, if you just have money you want to spend for that extra couple percent, go get the i9. If you want the best bang for the buck for gaming and the ability to just easily overclock the shit out of it, get the i5 1360K. So that's what I did. And but my cooler, that Cooler Master air cooler, was not enough. I noticed running Cinebench, my CPU was hitting 100 degrees Celsius, way hot. I'm like, well, that's not good. So I did a little research. Turns out when you crank that CPU up and put a full load on it, it's putting out like 180 something watts of heat. That cooler is only rated for 150. It's well under. So yeah, I looked around at other air coolers that can handle it, like the Noctura and some others, but they're freaking massive, and some of them, it hits the RAM chips and stuff, and I'm like, you know what? I never thought I'd have to do this, but I'm going with liquid cooling this time. So I went out, I got a Corsair case, and I've been very happy with Corsair stuff. I got their 320 millimeter ARGB 3-fan water pump everything, all in one kit. Now, with tax, it was like $200 on the nose. And added a couple 140 mil case fans to exhaust up top. And so I got a whole video of not only the install and taking the old stuff out and how I wired it and put the whole thing together with the new cooling upgrades, but also then ran Cinebench and showed you how much cooler it made. It made it 25 degrees Celsius under full load. And before, it would have been even hotter, except the CPU itself, the motherboard, was throttling the CPU when it hit 99 or 100 degrees Celsius. So it was still overheating, but then you were dropping performance, because if it had kept at 100% power, it would have just gone even hotter. Now it's running in the low to mid 70s, full load, quieter, and no throttling. So if you're interested in that kind of geekery, then I got the video for you coming up. So anyway, this is enough for this. We'll get a better ride video on Sunday, but so far it's working great. I'm deeming this bike ready for track days. I'm going to go tonight and see what track days are coming around, hopefully around April and May. It'll be warm enough for a track day, but it won't be ball bags stuck to your leg like the heat of summer you get down here in Georgia. So, alright folks, have a good one.